All right, a little bit of context. So, for thousands of years, peoples of America were building massive earthwork observatories, but around 2,000 years ago, that all stopped up here with the Hopewell people in the Ohio area. And then, for some reason, 1,000 years after the Hopewell sites were abandoned, in the year 1050 AD, the Mississippi culture started constructing large scale complex earthwork observatories. We know that they would visit the ancient Hopewell sites looking for knowledge, but we don't know why. Yet at the exact same time, Puebloan people also began constructing massive observatories at a place called Chaco Canyon, a place infamous for its archaeoastronomy. On my Moncache Taipei tour, I wanted to explore why this started happening. Were the two empires working together, or did something happen worldwide that would cause independent peoples to start behaving similarly? I'm about to show you a brief clip that I posted to the Orion Observatory Discord page, because it doesn't matter how smart you are, if you haven't spent time looking at the stars with an inquisitive mind, then you won't know nothing compared to our ancestors. And having a group of people from the astronomy community to talk to about certain archaeoastronomy avenues is going to be extremely valuable. I believe that this is the number one reason why archaeoastronomy has been overlooked for so many years. Like, I think that archaeologists can't even speculate archaeoastronomy without having a fundamental understanding of the night sky. So, following my first year of archaeoastronomy, I have a few theories that seem to have some real good potential, but daydream is the only way I could have ever come up with those ideas. One of them, Fuego Nuevo, has major implications, not just about our past, and I don't really have any business being the guy to put it out there. But whether I'm correct or not, I believe it's a great way of showing how valuable a hard science like astronomy can be to a science like archaeology, which has to speculate a lot on just a little bit of crumbs. So now I'm going to play the clip that past me made, and then I think future me is going to comment afterwards. All right, so this one right here is for the Ryan Observatory and Rittenhouse Discord. It's a super crab hypothesis, and when I get into it, I guess you guys will start to see why. But the super crab stands for the Crab Nebula. Basically, a couple years ago, I was looking to do some astrophotography with somebody that was much more experienced than me, and you guys probably know Dr. Lydell Nunn from up at the Ryan. And so he wanted to do an object, and I was going to image it from the observatory, and he was going to do it from his backyard observatory. And so I said, yeah, what object would you want to do? And he said, well, I think the most important one is M1. And I was like, why do you think that? And so he went on to tell me that back in 1054, in China, they actually documented the supernova that led to the M1. And this was interesting to me because of I was always into archaeoastronomy, but also the effects of like celestial events, like the comet of 1618, the Great Comet of 1618, the effects that had on like the 30 Years' War, or the Pilgrims hopping on the Mayflower and coming to America. Date 1050 ended up sticking with me. I remember at one point I was looking into William the Conqueror because that was around that time. So anyways, I'm about to show a clip, and this is before I went out to Cahokia. I was looking at the Mississippian culture, and I was trying to learn as much as I could about talking about the time 1050.
We'll focus on Cahokia in the middle to show you how they built the celestial observations into their landscape there, and then also up and down the river.
The question to bring into your next slide is, so if we put the first monuments you showed at around 400 AD, when did the Cahokia complex begin that you're about to show us?
And the precursors are simply some large villages that are developing right in the middle of what becomes the city of Cahokia. And about 900 is also the time when we can track the first immigrants coming into Cahokia, or at least that general landscape, from places that I have here labeled Toltec and Crenshaw in the lower left of this map. And then at 1050, you have this flashpoint where, in a wink of an eye, practically, the city of Cahokia is constructed, 3 precincts, of which I'm going to focus on one, the main precinct, in the next slide. So 1050 is this critical short-term burst of energy and planning and construction.
It's wild that you should say so, Timothy, and I'm going to tell you, I was talking to Rich Friedman last week who did a similar presentation, and he highlighted and put in quotes the year of vast expansion architecturally where large ashlars were being used was 1072.
Yeah, we actually were just in a meeting together. You know, lay those two things out together, and you have to question whether there's communication, because they're mapping on. If there's not communication, then it's even more astounding.
I wonder if it was a response to an environmental cause rather than sharing of knowledge. I'm not sure.
I certainly have come to the point in my thinking where I do think the environment is important, at least in the background. And if there hadn't been this medieval warming that affects much of North America in a way similar to Eurasia.
So what they were talking about in that clip at the end was basically they were looking for like reasons for why Cahokia site at 1050 started doing astronomy again, because before that it was 1,000 years before that was when like Hopewell was doing all the archaeoastronomy sites. But at the exact same time on the west coast in Chaco Canyon, this site was built and it's infamous for their archaeoastronomy. Now, when I heard them, it took a while to figure out what they were talking about in the clip. Then I realized it was Chaco Canyon. That got me excited because when I was looking into the trade routes, I remembered hearing about the chocolate connection to Chaco Canyon. And so the last stop on my trip was at a site called Etowah. You'll have to see part 10 of year 1 of archaeoastronomy on my Instagram, Les Carrier. But so basically at that site, I found out, I was asking about any Mesoamerican connections because of the architecture of Mesoamerican archaeoastronomy is so distinct, and all the flat top pyramids were a similarity, and it's just an avenue I was exploring. And she goes, no, it's funny you say that though, that we haven't found any trade routes, but a doctor there is releasing a paper coming out soon about discovering chocolate at Etowah. So to make a long story longer, I was telling all this to Al Ryan yesterday, and I was talking about how they may have found chocolate at Etowah, and I was like, you know what, I had this idea that maybe this supernova in 1054 might be the reason why astronomy kicked back up here in the United States. And so Al goes, oh yeah, you mean like the petroglyphs? I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, Chaco Canyon, the petroglyphs. And so I looked into it, and this is what he's talking about. That's a moon with the supernova over here to the left. The hand is supposed to be sacred. I thought that maybe this symbolized like it was within 15 degrees. The first thing I thought of was that this is a waning crescent moon, and that would be that would mean that the supernova occurred in between the sun and the moon when it's waning crescent, and I took that hand symbol as within maybe 15 degrees, but I suppose that means it's sacred. So anyways, ended the clip because I look into wanted
it.
all the folks at the Ryan Observatory Discord to have an opportunity to kind of look into it. Well, in layman's terms, the rounded side of the moon when it's crescent is the side that the sun's on. So this is waning, meaning it's getting smaller. Now, if it was a full moon, that means it would be about 12 hours before the sun is rising. It'd be ahead of it. If it was a half moon rounded to the left, it would be 6 hours. But first things first, M1, the Crab Nebula, has to be on the ecliptic plane, which it is because it's in the constellation Taurus. Now, the next thing is if it's waning crescent like that, that means it only has a few hours, a couple hours before sunrise. So there's only a 5% chance of something happening on the ecliptic plane, which it does. Plus, there's only about like a 1 in 8 chance that it would happen before a crescent moon and after a rising sun. All right, this is my winter solstice pyramid climb, Etowah, Alabama. Almost sunset. I hopped over the
Rule number
time
one.
zone and it messed up all my timing.
It's stay away from po-po. Keep it polished, making commas. Stay tight with my bros. Raking dollars, fill my pockets, homie. That's a no joke. Keep it soupy with my.
All right, so bottom right is a map I made of trade routes, possible trade routes with chocolate to Chaco Canyon, and then if it turns out at Etowah. That's Moundville in Alabama. That's a dude out front of Etowah. That's my attempt at a cartograph, but the sun was not out, so. Oh, these are pretty cool. So if you look up top, that's called the rattlesnake disk. And down below is the Nebra sky disk, I think from Germany. But the Nebra sky disk is supposed to be like one of the oldest pocket sky calendars. They used it to measure the ecliptic, like sunrises, solstices, and stuff like that. But I believe up top, the rattlesnake disk was actually used for the northern sky. Here's the Crab Nebula. I guess it's like some European depiction. On the left is the actual Chinese recordings of the supernova in 1054. That symbol up there you'll see all over
Keep
the
it polished, making commas, stay tight with my bros. Raking dollars, fill my pockets, homie, that's a no joke. Keep it soupy with my groupies, peep the dookie, go broke. I'm turning to a logo. No joke, keep it polished, making commas, stay tight with my bros. Raking dollars, fill my pockets, homie, that's a no joke. Keep it soupy with my groupies, peep the dookie, go broke. I'm turning to a logo. Man, that whole time I was trying not to laugh because I was like, damn, you good as fuck. I'm really good at what the fuck I do. This shit is live. We do this shit live. We just don't hang a microphone and do a stupid ass music video. Shit's real.